Don Lemon's had a stretch of Don. Variety now out with a brand new article. Don Lemon's accused of misogyny, diva, behavior. Who are you, Don? Okay, because I knew you way back when we worked together. Who are you? Are you that kid raised by your mama in Louisiana, or are you everything that's in this article? After recently getting in trouble for his on-air comment about Nikki Haley's age, Variety has released an expose of Don Lemon's apparent poor behavior in the workplace. Okay. Incidents involving Kyra Phillips, his former co-anchor. Back in 2008, Don Lemon was co-anchoring CNN's Live from Weekday. There, it was a show with Kyra. For months, tensions between the pair, the article goes on to say, kept mounting. Phillips was on assignment in Iraq, a coveted role, high-profile gig that Lemon wanted. He vented his disappointment of being passed over by tearing up pictures and notes on top of and inside Kyra Phillips' desk in the news pod they shared. That's according to two sources who worked there at the time. You go into my desk when I'm not there, and you about to find out, partner, as soon as I get stateside, okay? There's more. When Kyra Phillips returned from Iraq, things only got weirder. One night, while dining with members of the news team, she received the first of two threatening text messages from an unknown number on her flip phone that warned, now you've crossed the line and you're going to pay for it. Phillips was visibly rattled, quickly enlisted CNN's higher-ups to identify the sender. Remarkably, the texts were traced back to Don. Don Lemon wrote that. That was according to the same sources. More alleged misogynistic behavior. Lemon called one of his producers fat to her face. Not long before he was identified as sending threatening texts to Phillips, he mocked Nancy Grace on air, mimicked her. That shocked fellow colleague. Grace declined comment, but a person close to her tells Variety she, quote, thinks he's an ass and that he was always rude, dismissive, really unfamiliar with the news content being discussed. That was the beginning of when you knew that Don was kind of volatile and didn't say good things about women, says a witness to the Grace incident. 2008. He was upset that Soledad O'Brien landed the gig of hosting CNN's high-profile Black in America docuseries. During an editorial call attended by roughly 30 staffers, he suggested O'Brien isn't Black, according to witnesses who found the characterization wildly offensive. Quoting, Don always wanted to be front and center on anything high profile, especially anything involving race, says a colleague. Now, O'Brien, who was not present, tells Variety, and this is what I like about Soledad, she just goes on the record and she's at a point in her career where she's just going to tell you how she feels. And she really doesn't care how you feel about the way she feels, okay? She feels she's earned the right, I think. Here's Soledad's quote. Don has a long habit of saying idiotic and inaccurate things, so it sounds pretty on brand for him. Okay. CNN spokesperson said Don, Soledad, and others have in the past correctly referred to her Afro-Cuban heritage as it is a unique part of her personal story, but Don denies making any related remark in a derogatory way. When he wasn't shocking his cohorts, the article goes on to say he was annoying them with diva-like behavior, says one, skipping editorial calls, showing up late to the newsroom, or just generally exhibiting disengaged behavior. In 2009, CNN was allowed to send one journalist into the Staples Center to cover the Michael Jackson Memorial. Lemon was the choice, while Anderson, Cooper, and O'Brien anchored outside. Sources remember Lemon complaining on social media that Cooper got more airtime. Explaining as to how this has gone on for so long, Variety spoke with more than a dozen former and current colleagues who painted a picture of a journalist who flouted rules, cozied up to power, all while displaying open hostility to many female coworkers. Each and every time he appeared to charm his way out of facing any meaningful consequences. So I had several reactions as I was reading the article. a half-hearted attempt to make it appear that they support him somewhat, although they made sure to say Don says, the CNN spokesperson. It occurred to me that this could just be an article that someone pitched inside Variety and they ran with it. Or it could be the very people sometimes in your own backyard who are making sure things are written about you for their own agenda. Doesn't mean that this isn't true or parts of it aren't true, but I also want to know these unnamed sources. Unlike Soledad, the article is based mostly on people, including former colleagues, saying these things about Don Lemon. What's your reaction to this? It's a hit piece, deserved or not, it's a hit piece. Yasmin.
Yeah, so I personally don't have any strong opinions regarding Don Lemon. So like I'm not particularly shocked or disappointed when I read the story, but it is an interesting story to contrast with the previous one that we just were talking about. Because here we have a situation where there have been repeated, documented, and consistent instances, allegedly, of one person behaving badly in a workplace setting. And for whatever reason, this behavior allegedly has been consistently excused and diminished, despite the negative impacts that it has apparently been having on the women around him and his male colleagues. Now, we can speculate as to why that is. You know, there's speculation that identity politics protected him a little bit as a Black man and a gay anchor. There was also what we were just talking about, that networks will do as little as they think they need to do, or they'll do as much as they think that they can get away with, in other words. So it's easier to keep Don Lemon on CNN than it is to replace him. But honestly, is it that hard to replace him? I feel like just get another anchor.
Wow.
So problematic.
You made it sound so simple, and you might be right. What I glean from this is less about Lemon and more about poor management for perhaps decades. Okay. It's really not that hard to lead. It's just that a lot of people who aren't cut out for it or aren't held accountable are placed in these leadership roles. I mean, that's my take. If there's a leader in the house, others don't have to manipulate and fill that void in a newsroom or a warehouse or anywhere else. It really is that simple. If you have children, I have a child, a daughter. If you don't lead, they're going to figure out where they're going to go. And you may or may not like it, and it may even get you in trouble. Is that an oversimplification, Jasmine?
No, I don't think so. And in the article, they did mention that Don Lemon has a pattern of, bending the rules as much as he thinks he can. It was something like, if you give him a rule, he's going to try and bend it pretty soon, So this seems to be a pattern of behavior. They know what he's like. And for whatever reason, like you said, nobody there seems to have been able to manage him effectively in that personality. And it seems like they've tried to a little bit, maybe not as much as they needed to. But that gets into like a whole issue of like workplace politics, which I know we don't have time to cover now because that's a whole separate topic. But you're right. A lot of people tend to get promoted to positions of authority or positions of power over others, whether or not they deserve to be. There's a million reasons why people can be promoted, and more often than not, those reasons are anything but the fact that they were the most qualified person for that role. So it happens.
It happens. And when you pay more attention to Don Lemon's pink suit or that hoodie outfit that everyone was going crazy over, even the late night host picked it up, perhaps you're not paying attention to other things that matter